To kind of hopefully wrap this up in a bow, conceptually, when you're in mount, your goal is to stay attached to your opponent and to fill the voids that he gives you until you can isolate him to the point to where he no longer can do jujitsu, I guess is the easiest way to put it. So most of the time where that comes from is underneath the armpits, but it also comes from behind the neck. And if you keep those goals in sight, as opposed to saying, okay, here comes a choke. I'm gonna choke him. Ah, that choke didn't work. Right? And then I go back to doing something else. That's not our approach. What we want to do is we want to choke or distract him so that that leg or that elbow comes up so that then I can start to fill the space. And as soon as I can fill the space, once this arm is out and isolated, then I get my chance to essentially win the race, to get him to push, to get him out. If nothing's working, that's when we can start to give him pressure, right? He's not moving at all. He's not giving me anything. So that's when we're going to start to look for head pressure, and we're going to start to keep those knees and butts tight. We can use our chest to push him down. If he's not giving me anything, now I'll start to bother him with chokes. Sometimes it's as easy as grabbing his lapel and just push, oh, see, because that was enough to get him to move. As soon as he moves, that's mine now. And as we continue this battle, I'll continue to take up every bit of space that he gives me until I can get something far away enough from his body that he's no longer has control of it. He no longer can defend it, he can't bring it back. And those isolations will allow me to kind of evolve my attack to where he doesn't have a choice but to submit. He can choose how he wants to submit, but he crawled out the window that I left open a crack, and I get to slam the window down on it. So other options, once we get underneath, you can start to play S-mount. Once we get up here into S-mount, it's the same thing. I'm looking to start to try to isolate one appendage. Once that's free, I can start my movement, but the whole time, this is what I care about. The S-mount's great, but if he starts to get out, I don't care as long as I keep my arm free, as long as I keep him extended so that he doesn't get back to here. Because as far as I'm concerned, right here, we're 50-50, because he can defend. I know he can defend, right? What do we do when their hands are, I forgot to tell you this, guys, earlier, when they get their hands across their hips here with, like Mayweather, as long as your hips and your heels are tight enough, you can actually push your chest down on their arm and isolate that arm. Get that arm out. Once I get head in an arm, right, how much jujitsu is he going to be doing? Less and less jujitsu. That elbow's out. Now how much jujitsu is he doing? Now he's not doing any jujitsu. Now he's being a mannequin. But he's my mannequin. He gets to do what I say. So even, and I was going to go over this earlier, even if when those hands are low and he's defending, if I can't come in, as long as my heels and knees are attached, I'll actually push my pelvic, the top of my, the crest of my hips, and I'll pin that arm in. Once I get his head and I get me off center, that arm is stuck now. Oh, what was here that we talked about? Oh, hello. And he can't defend on that side. So I can take all day to fiddle this thing in there because this hand is stuck. And this is one of my favorite attacks with guys that do the Mayweather defense where they put one hand high, one hand low, is to trap and then just start to just take my time. Because if I can get them to freak out, it's gonna make my job easier because they're gonna start bucking and pushing, and as soon as that happens, the space opens up in front of me and I slam the window shut. I'm not fighting him and I'm not jumping off mount because I couldn't get a submission. I'm progressing, I'm evolving the conversation to where he gives me an appendage, because then he's choosing which window he crawls out. I get to slam him. Any questions? Take this part home. This is what I want you to remember, is isolate and continue that evolution. Like, the chokes are great, Ezekiel's great, all that other stuff's great, but that's all secondary to this concept of trying to isolate space and fill the voids. I fill the voids with me. This is not mount. I'm not mount. If he goes Mayweather, this still isn't mount, because where am I? I'm up here, right? I need to get down and I need to get my mount. So now I'm mounted. Now he has pressure, my heels are in, I'm cupping his butt with my feet, and I've got my hips down. That's the mount you want to look for. You don't want to look for this. All right?